everyone, welcome here to AMC Town Square, ChasingCinema.com, joined by Josh Bell of the Las Vegas Weekly. We are here, and Superman over there. We're gonna get maybe a little taste of him a little bit later, but I wanted to sit and talk to the film editor of the Las Vegas Weekly, Josh Bell, about the movie that came out tonight, and that's Darren Aronofsky's Mother, starring Jennifer Lawrence, Javier Bardem, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Ed Harris. 2 hours. You know, this was a movie that is smaller release for J-Law.
It's getting a bigger release than I would expect for this kind of movie, because this is not a mainstream film. If you're like a Hunger Games fan and you think Jennifer Lawrence is a cool celebrity,
is from X-Men or from Hunger Games,
you're like, oh, I want to see the new Jennifer Lawrence movie. You are going to either have your mind blown or you're going to be really mad.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hop right into it. What did you think? Well, before we do, really quick, where is your stance on Darren as a director right now?
I like Darren Aronofsky. I think he's always very ambitious, and even if he makes a movie that doesn't entirely work for me, something like The Fountain, which is very esoteric and weird, and I feel like, I mean, it's interesting to see, but it didn't quite work for me. But I admired his ambition in making that movie and getting it out there to an audience that was obviously super not receptive to it. I think Darren Aronofsky is really talented, and I like his work even if it's not always really mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy Black Swan. My favorite is probably his most conventional, though, would be The Wrestler.
And The Wrestler is great.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream. I mean, there's a lot of, but he does have these very obscure views, and his movies do tend to get a little crazy. And if you've seen the trailer for this movie, you know that's probably going to be the case here. So, what did you think of Mother?
I thought it was fascinating. It definitely is crazy. And as before we started here, we've been talking about all these possible interpretations of it, and it is maybe an allegory for something, for religion we talked about, or for celebrity, or for the environment, or creation, or who knows, some other thing.
And it is very probable that you could walk into the movie and not get any three of those interpretations.
Right, and I think, to me, what makes it a really good movie is that it's just an experience that kind of washes over you, even if you're not sitting there thinking, okay, wait, well, this means this and this means this. Like, as a piece of art, as a piece of filmmaking, it's almost abstract, but it's visceral, and it will draw, at least to me, it drew me in, and Jennifer Lawrence's performance especially, and the way it puts you kind of right alongside her as all of these horrific things happen to her and she doesn't know what to do or why it's happening. And that's almost like the experience of being in the audience and thinking, like, this is just assaulting me and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it is one of those situations where, you know, I always laugh when people are like, oh, movies are supposed to be entertaining and fun, and like, this is one of the situations where you'll walk in, and while you might be fascinated or really enjoy the experience of where it brought you, it is not a very comfortable, safe, or fun place you go to. It is a very high anxiety, very tense, and even at parts like hard to watch. Especially for, I mean, I know some people, we were talking about, there were parts where people had to look away. I mean, there is some very gruesome stuff. I didn't expect it to go as crazy as it does, so I will say that as kind of a caveat, that this movie does get very, very intense, where it starts at one place and it's just kind of this very odd world, and then you just kind of go deeper and deeper in this really dark rabbit hole. I agree, Jennifer Lawrence was outstanding, you know, as per usual, no surprise there, but it is a movie that, you know, we pretty much have been sitting here for the last 20 minutes kind of talking about, breaking down and trying to say, well, is there this specific meaning, is there this specific storyline that we're supposed to follow? And it's not this very linear, not a very conventional movie. And, you know, if you want to open your doors and you feel like you want to see something different, and that might not just be A, B, C, and D, I think this is a movie to experience, but you have to know going in that it's not going to be, everything's not going to be explained for you. Not everything has a specific meaning. This isn't where a movie where you could ask the director a question and he'll say, oh, it's because of this. It is all up to kind of you as the viewer to really put things together as how you want, or to accept in the fact where I think, where I went, where you and Louis Vuitton kind of followed these different possible theories, where I was just kind of accepting the world that we were in, and I think for me it was even more chaotic for that sense. But it felt, I know Louis Vuitton also mentioned that this movie is very inspired by Roman Polanski. Obviously Rosemary's Baby, which I think really comes through in the kind of third act of the film. But there is a lot of things to dig and get out of this movie. It's just the more you kind of interpret it and where you want to go with it.
And I think, I mean, even though, yes, I had a lot of thoughts about, like, well, it could be interpreted this way or that way, I think ultimately maybe the best way is to just experience it. And that even if all of those interpretations are are wrong or misguided or whatever, it doesn't really matter, because as a piece of art, as an experience sitting there, it really reached me, and it was entertaining. I mean, yes, it's uncomfortable and it's intense.
Yeah, it's just not the happy-go-lucky.
I was entertained by that. I mean, yeah, it's not like Jim Carrey comedy or something.
Yeah, no.
But although Jim Carrey could, in his new
in his new style,
yeah,
this could be from Jim Carrey. No, and I agree, and I think that and if you've not seen this movie yet and you're watching this, I would advise you to kind of not go to read things and kind of delve yourself into something, because once you kind of get that mindset and then you're plugging things in, might not necessarily be meant to plug in that way. And we were kind of talking about that with Superman, who wasn't as big a fan of this film, but I was just, if you start looking for something and you start connecting it, you're connecting things that maybe you shouldn't. You should experience in this kind of very confused or unsure, unconfident type of way. Any other performance or anything else really stand out to you as far as cinematography or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, the way the camera stays with Jennifer Lawrence that whole time, the way that it really puts you right alongside her. The set design, even though the whole movie takes place inside this house, but the house is essentially the entire world.
Yeah.
And the way that the sets almost change to reflect the different moods of the different scenes and stuff, I was impressed with that. And the sound design, I mean... Yeah, from a technical standpoint, it's really, and that's why it works, because it envelops you that way. If it had a wrong note on any of those levels, it would take you out of it. Really
one of the
easily.
strongest elements, I think, from the very beginning of the movie is sound.
Yeah.
It is very, very apparent, and sounds are coming from all different directions, and it's like very apparent where they're coming from. And I noticed that very early on, and then to the point where you kind of get towards the end, where there's so much sound that you're just kind of really overwhelmed, and it really adds to the kind of the chaos and the anarchy that is happening. And it just brings you into these really different scenarios and these really different times. And I think that while I enjoyed the movie, and I think I really liked Javier Bardem in the movie, I think everyone was really good. Michelle Pfeiffer was really good. Ed Harris was, everything was good on element-wise, but I think where this might be, again, the turn for people is just it's not super structured. And even though I enjoyed it for not being so structured, I didn't absolutely love it. I can't walk away saying that I was moved in a very heavy sense. I was put in a very uncomfortable place. I did feel certain emotions, but I don't know how much I'll want to reflect back on this movie. And then, because it was so funny, because we were talking about, this is a movie that you could probably take home and just like a very, in dense text, go back and watch scene for scene and really kind of break things down to further understand it or try to gain meaning, if you're a theorist or anything. But at the same time, I don't know. I was really left in a very awkward place of like, wow, that was very intense emotions, but as soon as I was done with the theater, I was able to kind of wash a lot of that off, where I don't feel like it's going to stick with me as much as it's sticking with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a movie that will stick with me and that will stick with the people who are on its wavelength, but it's certainly not for everyone. I think, it's getting this marketing like it's this horror movie, is Jennifer Lawrence, and people who go in expecting that, I think, are going to walk out in the middle as we experienced.
Yeah.
But if you're
in the right
mindset for this.
Yeah, I begin all these questions because the posters, they're like, oh, is she like a statue? Is she like a pig? It's completely like in this complete opposite direction.
Right.
But where do you put this with Darren Aronofsky's other films?
Well, it's been a while since I've seen some of his other films, but I would put it. I would put it pretty high. I like maybe Black Swan the best. I just put it below that, but definitely maybe just at number 2. I don't know. It's been. I haven't seen Pi since I saw it in the theater, so it's been a long time.
Well, I think we both agree. If you do want to go down a dark rabbit hole and you want to go see something different and probably something, out of everything I've seen this year, I think this is the most different. The most kind of extreme too. Yeah. Because we were talking about conventions with Ghost Story, which is a little bit more, but it is much easier to follow. And it is, while it is kind of this, you could take things away, it's about interpretation, this movie kind of really throws you to the wind. And if you really want to get your hands dirty, recommend it.
I would say if you liked a Ghost Story, I think this is the kind of movie that you will like. But if you saw a Ghost Story and wondered where Casper was, then don't see this.
Maybe not. But I'd recommend it. I think it is worth seeing. But again, I do want to put that caveat. But if you aren't sure, I say take a chance and go for it.
Always take a chance.
Always take a chance. Yeah. Thank you, Josh Bell. You can find all of his reviews at the Las Vegas Weekly or joshbellhateseverything.com. Got anything exciting coming up? Any July's up? Do you have any series you're doing or anything?
Maybe. I probably do.
You'll have to tune in.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't expect to be asked this question.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre in October. I'm
Okay.
back at those, I think. That's my plan.
And you can
And
catch
now I
Josh
said it, so you hold me to it.
on Friday mornings.
Yes,
on
KTNV, Channel 13.
Channel 13. Guys, ChasingCinema.com is known as the Film Lovers website.